guys, this is Nav Khak. Today we're talking about February 2021 sales. I have with me Dana Graham and John, can't remember which brokerage is from, but yeah, sorry?
Century 21.
Century 21, okay. So we'll talk about, three different housing types, single detached condos, single attached, and see how they're doing in February 2021 compared to last February of 2020. So I'll pass it on to Dana. We'll talk about the condo market and how that's doing for anyone who's looking to buy condos or sell condos this year. Dana?
Yeah. Thank you. So far this year, condo sales have been fairly active compared to previous years. We have 512 active listings and 170 sales. And the average price is $242,500. So fairly decent price for condos from what we've seen. And then the average square footage is 1,035. I did a little comparison from last year. So in January 2021, for starters, we had 116 sales, condo sales. So that means we're at 331 condo sales just for 2021. Last year, at the same time, we were only at 213 condo sales. So that's just over 100 more condo sales for the year so far, which I think is looking really good. If you are thinking about selling your condo, I know a lot of people are kind of sitting on condos, having them rented out, waiting for that value to be supported. I'm not saying that there's multiple offer situations going on every condo, but the value at least is more supported than it was last year. So if you're thinking about selling your condo, it may be a good time to do that. John, do you want to tell us about attached homes?
Yes, attached homes are also following the trend right now. Basically, where there's 50% less listings from 2020 and 2019. I went back one more year just to kind of get a better gauge, because even last year we started to enter into COVID this time last year. Just crazy. I think a whole year has gone by. And anyways, sales were up 30%, again, following this whole trend, and average price was up 10%. So the average price was $279,000, which was up from last year at $263,000, or from 2019. And this past year, this month was $308,000 for average price.
Okay, thank you, Dana and John. I'll just touch base on the single detached homes. We've definitely seen quite a bit of activity over the last few months in this category. And honestly, this month is no different. For the average price, we're looking at $360,000 compared to $312,000, which was in 2020. That's just a crazy jump in the average price. And really, the real reason is just overbiddings on houses, offer dates. And the reason for that is just the turnover for inventory in the market is just really high. And we'll touch base later on when we discuss why that is. Is it because of less listings, or a lot of people are looking in the market? But that's definitely something that we'll talk about. In terms of sales, there were 814 sales compared to 561 in 2020. So again, still we're looking at about 300 more sales in 2021 compared to 2020. Here's the number that may shed some insight into why the average price has gone up almost 50,000. Active listings in February 2020, there were about 2,150, so almost close to 2,000. Active listings as of at the end of February 2021, we're looking at about 1,000. So we're down 50% of the active listings at the end of February compared to last February 2020. So, and I was looking at other stats. we're always like, okay, is it because people are not putting their houses on the market? What is really the reason? And actually, the new listings that came in February 2021, they were only down less than 3% compared to 2020. So it's not that the listings are down compared to last year. It's just more inventory is being bought and being turned over, which is bringing whatever the whole total active listings way down compared to the past year. Why that is, I'm not too sure. We'll have a discussion about it and we can all put our 2 cents into it. The other really interesting stat was that 1 in 2 houses in February went over listing. And I'm sure buyers who were in the market felt that every single house had offers date and houses were getting over 10, 20 offers and going way above list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you guys have any, do you guys want to jump into this conversation? And we can also touch base on what the reason is. Dana, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I know I have a ton of buyers that I'm working with myself, and it does seem like either there is not a lot of listings on the market, or it seems that every listing has an offer date, and so it's very frustrating for buyers currently. But interesting to see that we're not actually that much lower on inventory than we were at this time last year. February generally, I think, is a bit of a, it's not quite the spring market yet, so it's still a little bit slower. But this year with the warm weather, I think a lot more buyers are ready to go now, as opposed to waiting for March. And also just all of the COVID-19 restrictions, I think, are bringing a lot of buyers out that realize, hey, I can afford a house because interest rates are low, and I don't want to be in this 1-bedroom apartment anymore or whatever. So yeah, that's my take on it. John, what do you think?
Yeah, like it's very clear that all the buyers out there were not many buyers were not satisfied from the market and the listings from last year. So I think we're going to start to trickle out with some more listings, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really hot spring, because I think that, I know some people in my family that are, older are getting vaccinated eventually in the next little while here. And I think that they're talking about that happening come September, where we're at a better spot. So there might be a lot more people comfortable listing it throughout the year. I'm kind of thinking that if you can, as a buyer, if you can wait until next spring, there might be an abundance of listings, But yeah, it's neat to see, right? Because I've never seen this before as a realtor, that market prices jump up just 10% almost overnight. We'd see it year to year back in the early mid 2000s, but yeah, it's quite wild. So we'll just see what this spring brings. I think it's going to be hot, and hopefully we get a normal summer where it's just, a lot of the buyers have got homes and stuff, so we can enjoy our summers a little bit more than last year anyways. So
it's interesting that you say that, John, because I have been a real estate agent not quite as long as you. And so for me, I'm like, I don't know, does this just happen, over like when the market is crazy and then it comes down, and then is this just the cycle, or is this abnormal? So it's nice to hear that it is abnormal, because this is a little
for it to go up this fast, this quick, like just over, like, that's abnormal. Mm-hmm. We used to see like 10-12% return, like increases year over year, but it's gradual, right? Because you see a listing go up and then it would sell, and all of a sudden the next buyer that needs a home would pay a little bit more, right? A little bit more. And this is back when house average price when I started in 2007 was $208,000, right? So it was $208,000, and now we're at was it $360?
Yep.
Right, as of the almost 14 years later.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
So let's also talk about the interest rate. I know it's quite low at this point, and that's also helping a lot of buyers afford a house at a higher price that they would normally could. What do you think is going to happen with interest rates this year or the coming next years? I was reading an article and they were stating that Montreal housing market is pretty heated as well compared to Winnipeg market, and they're definitely looking into raising the interest rate so it becomes more difficult to get a mortgage, which will hopefully dampen the real estate market. What do you guys think about what's going to happen with the interest rates, maybe this year or next year? What's your prediction?
Personally, I mean, talking to different industry professionals, I think the interest rate will stay down at least for this year. I know they are, the Canadian government's trying to spur the economy because of the year that we had last year. And so I think, for them to increase interest rates kind of goes against that motivation. But I do understand, and I think a lot of people are talking about, when is this going to stop? Because obviously the market can't keep going the way it's going. It's crazy. So it does need to level out at some point. And I would completely understand implementing something like that. I just don't see it happening this year. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm also looking at like the Winnipeg economy, because you look at interest rates as a federal level all across Canada. And I don't have the average house price now on Canada in front of me, but it's always been at this level, and it's probably increased now. So I always felt like Winnipeg was catching up to other cities. And interest rates, yeah, I think I think they're going to keep them the same and let the market do its thing. So it's just for buyers to be cautious of not overspending, because I've never really been in a bubble market like from our Western neighbors with oil and stuff. But if anything looks like a bubble, it'd be this market, just by the quick, rapid increase. And like I said, I'm predicting that until, maybe next spring, once everyone's vaccinated, then we'll start seeing people moving around and downsizing again, and that kind of thing. So I think people aren't downsizing right now, right? If you're in a bigger house, you don't have to downsize. Why would you right now? Whereas when you're a growing family like myself, I need to buy a house. I need to grow. I need to go. So if you know a good realtor, but yeah, that's my thinking. Like, I just think the government's can let the market do its thing, and they don't have that lever like we said last month about more supply. But I hope that big land development will happen and some new building will happen to help. And again, right now we see it's benefiting the condo market, I think, big time. That condos are selling again because that's what people have to get into.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's hard to predict which way the market is going to do. We do know that it's definitely unsustainable the way the market is going. The average prices are climbing up. So at one point it would have to stop. Even the buyers that are buying 100,000 or 50, 80,000 over asking, they do have to ask themselves, if they have to sell this house in the next 5 years, they're likely not going to recover what they paid for the house. It's going to take years and years to even make any profit or recover what they paid. So you also have to be cautious at this point. Okay, it has to be a very long term. And I also noticed that in 2016, it happened the same. There was a little bit of bubble. A lot of people paid really high prices in 2016, and they were selling in 2 or 3 years later. And you saw what they paid, and they couldn't recover the money that they paid. So again, buyers have to be cautious with that too. Eventually, the market corrects itself. When it's always a timing thing. If the market doesn't correct itself, the government will step in and raise the interest rate and try to correct it. So I guess we'll see how the next few months pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great discussion. Thank you very much, Dana and John. We'll definitely be here next month discussing how March pans out. But if any of you guys out there looking for a realtor, reach out to any of us. Dana does northeast side of the city. John is very prominent in the west side of the city, and I do south side of the city. Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.